Your Steve Jones Show podcast is loading now. The Steve Jones Show podcast is sponsored by Purdy Insurance. Visit Purdy Insurance on Market Street in Sunbury or visit online at purdyinsurance.com. Sports talk where your voice counts. This is the Steve Jones Show on Newsradio 1070 WKOK. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
14 seconds left in the quarter. Levis takes it. He'll give it to Journey Brown. Left side. Journey Brown is at the goal line. Waiting. Touchdown, Penn State. The Nittany Lions are in front. And here is Gilligan. Booms it. Oh, that is destroyed. Into the jet stream to the 10, the 5. Drew Harlow downs it at the 2. What a punt. 68 yards. Journey Brown to the left. Levis will give it to Journey Brown. Breaks to his left to the 15, to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown, Penn State. The Nittany Lions go 74 yards. Miranda will snap it. Low snap picked up by Levis. Back to pass, rolls near side, sets, fires it deep down the middle for Dotson. He's got it at the 5. Dotson spins. He goes to the far corner. He is inside. Touchdown, Penn State. A spectacular play from Will Levis to Jahan Dotson. Brown to the left. Second and goal, a yard and a half away from the house. Waits, takes the snap. It's going to be Journey Brown, right side, touchdown, Penn State. And he squibs it, takes a high bounce, and Rutgers gets it loose on the turf. They're around it at the 6-yard line, and Penn State recovers. The Nittany Lions go to 10-2 on the season. It is the third time in the last 4 years they've won 10 or better. And the 10th-ranked Nittany Lions beat Rutgers 27-6. And outside of Ohio State, they will be the highest-ranked team in the Big Ten probably next week.
I think about when we arrived here, and I think about all the hard work that the administration has put in, the support from the board, from President Barron, from Sandy Barber. I think about the trainers. I think about the doctors. I think about the equipment men. I think about all the players that have come through here and sacrificed so much for this program. I'm just proud. I really am. I'm proud of how we've gone about our business. There's always things to improve on, but when you say 133 years of football and things like this haven't happened a whole lot, you should be proud. I hope Jack Ham is proud because all those lettermen, it means the world to me that they feel like the program is heading in the right direction and under great leadership. That's very, very important to me from all those guys like Jack and the guys that came before us.
Well, James, Jack Ham is very proud. I'll tell you that right now. Tell me about Journey Brown. You've rotated all 4 running backs. It seems like in the last 4 weeks, he's really had a hot hand.
Yeah, he has. We got in a situation with Noah who was kind of on fire and it was the media darling there for a while. But he just hasn't been 100% since, and we could have played him again tonight, but I felt like if we did, then he would have been, he may not have been 100% for the bowl game. So we decided to shut him down again. And again, we have the confidence to do that because we got 3 guys. Ricky Slade did great things tonight. And obviously Devin as well. But then, Journey, I think his confidence is just continuing to grow. The guy's got a great story to tell at some point. I think, before he leaves here, you guys are going to hear his story. You're talking about a guy who's overcome adversity every step of his life, continues to do that here at Penn State. Had some tragedies last week, and he just battles. The guy's got a smile on his face. He battles in the classroom, battles on a football field. He's got a lot of talent. I couldn't be more proud of him. I think about a guy like Rob Windsor. Rob's growth from the time he showed up here as a freshman, and I mean this with 100% respect, but Rob wasn't ready for college when he got here. Right. And I just think about his growth off the field, on the field, academically. He's like a model now, and it's special to see his mom and dad today and think about where he started and where he's at now. That's why you do it.
I know, James, people talk a lot about recruiting, and that's a big, big part of this. But another big element to this has been player development here. Are guys like Journey Brown and Windsor examples of many of player development here?
I think so. To win at the highest level, which we want to do, you got to develop with the very best of them. You got to recruit with the very best of them. It's in every single area. And, and I get it. We're at a point in our society where everybody wants it now. But you look at the guys that have stuck around and kept working. No one likes the red shirt. It's a miserable experience for all of them. But when these guys get through it and they fight through adversity, you see stories like Jan Johnson. You see stories like Journey Brown. So I'm very proud of what we've done in the weight room and academically and player development, all those aspects. And if you just have some patience and you work through these things, you can accomplish some really special things.
James, in that secondary, you had true freshman corners out there quite a bit today. How did they hold up?
Yeah, I don't have the list in front of me, but there was a lot of people on that field that were nowhere near the field at the beginning of the year. 2 true freshmen at corner. We kind of went into this game with this, but then we lost 2 or 3 guys during the game. And you got Will Levis on the field. Caden Wallace was able to play tonight. The 2 true freshman corners. Bunch of guys got significant time. So, it was a little painful at times, but it's also opportunities for us to continue growing.
James, thanks so much for your time. And again, let's face it, it's been our privilege to chronicle all these accomplishments that we've talked about, and there's still more to come.
Well, we're not done yet, are we, guys?
I just said more to come. I thought I prefaced it pretty well.
You did. The other thing, guys, too, is going to be pretty cool. So me, Fumi, and the girls are jumping in a car tomorrow, and we're going to the Giants game to support Saquon and Grant Haley.
Cool.
And a guy by the name of Spencer Pulley who played for us at Vanderbilt as well. So we're looking forward to doing that and then go on the road recruiting after that. So, pretty special.
James Franklin after the game on Saturday. Great to have you with us. And we'll get to some loyalty issues in a moment. Hi, Shawn.
Steve, it's always a pleasure. Happy December. That didn't take long.
We'll get to it in a moment.
We've got plenty of time to get to.
Or you had wanted out of the way.
or yeah. It's your call.
Yeah. So I want to get to this. I want to take a moment to turn back the clock. And I want to turn back the clock to a mere 4 years ago, to December 2nd, 2015. And think about where the program was and where it is now. And I think that's where we have to take a look at where everything is. 4 years ago today, on December 2nd, 2015, how would you have felt about the possibility of a 10-win season? How would you have felt on December 2nd, 2015, about the possibility of going to a Rose Bowl? How would you felt on December 2nd, 2015, about the possibility of going to a Fiesta Bowl? How would you have felt about the possibility about winning a Big Ten championship on December 2nd, 2015? Because remember, Penn State was knocked down to the point where when James took over,
in 2014. I'll go back further. Bill O'Brien did a phenomenal job. A phenomenal job of keeping everything together and winning games. Bill's an excellent coach. Joe Paterno and his staff had recruited really well. And Bill took advantage of the players that he had and did a great job of keeping everything together. But part of keeping it together was also he was charged with also reducing scholarships to the point where Bill told me several times, not once but several times, Jonesy, I'm telling you, he says 14 and 15 are going to be two really rough years around here. Told me that several times in 2013. And you could see it on the practice field. I know that the state has a lot of terrific talent, but in reality is you need high-level Division I talent to win. You just can't have terrific talent. And that's where, we talk about the walk-on, run-on thing and so forth. But you could see that they were falling back in that area. It's going to happen when you're told you have to be at 65 scholarships. I mean, 65 scholarships happens to be what two above what Bucknell has? I mean, that's what it is. And when James played had his team play in the Pinstripe Bowl, they only had 41 scholarship players available. Now, that's because James elected to take a long-term view of what was going on. He was redshirting people as if he had 85 scholarships. I said at the time, and I'll say it again, it was a really smart play on the part of your head football coach to do that. I said it then, and I'm saying it now. What a smart play that was to do that, because he was looking long-term and not short-term. Really important. Really important. And they, through recruiting, hard work, the fan base, I never want to make sure the fan base is left out of this because they were a critical part to all of this. His staff, everybody, have made such a difference in what we see now. So here we are. At this point, 4 years later. In that span, they've won 41 games, which in the 133 season history of Penn State football, this is only the third time they've reached this level. And they're going after 42. Now, there was one team in the early 70s, series of teams that Joe had in the early 70s, won 43 games. Pretty impressive. And they went to 4 New Year's Six bowl games in a row. They went to the Cotton Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, the Orange Bowl, and then back to the Cotton Bowl. And they won, 3 out of 4 of them. Pretty impressive. Had a Heisman Trophy winner. I mean, that group won 43 games back then. Well, this group's won 41. They've won 10 games for the third time in 4 years. So on December 2nd, 2015, did you envision them winning 41 games in 4 years? Did you envision going to a Rose Bowl, a Fiesta Bowl, and the possibility of either a Rose or an Orange Bowl? We'll get to that a little bit later. Did you ever envision that? Just one of them, let alone 3. It's amazing how far in 4 short years the program has come. There are trials and tribulations like everything. You want to win them all. You want to be actually either the undefeated or the one-loss team, not the 2-loss team. But it's remarkable because, remember, Ohio State, LSU, Georgia, Clemson, Oklahoma, Alabama. Right? What do they all have in common? They all had a head start on Penn State. In 2014 and 15, all those programs were reloading. Penn State was trying to get itself into the game. So now they're at the point where they are now reloading. Now they do have the toughest step yet to come. And the toughest step yet to come is getting that final gigantic hurdle that gets you into the college football playoff. I said this a few years ago. I thought it was great when the BCS came into being because it would be a national championship game. I felt the situation in '94 with Penn State and Nebraska probably accelerated that process. But in time, what happened was there was so much emphasis on the BCS national championship game. It started to feel like everybody else playing before that, even in a major bowl game like an Orange, a Sugar, or whatever it may be, a Rose Bowl, to that point, suddenly you felt like they were becoming perception-wise diminished, even though getting there is a huge deal. Well, now let's fast forward to now with the college football playoff. And there's so much attention, which has been good for the game, by the way, on the college football playoff, and certainly what it has done to increase the profile of college football, which is already strong to begin with. Now it's even stronger. But there's almost a feeling in some parts and in certain segments of the fan base, it's not a big segment, but a certain segment of the fan base, that if you don't get there, you haven't had a good season. Getting there means you've had an exceptional season. Okay? Getting to a New Year's Six game means you've had a great season. Okay? Being in the 4 means you've had an exceptional season. Getting to a New Year's Six game means you've had a great season. And that's the only part about the college football playoff I get concerned with. I think it's all good. I like how it's done. I like how it works. Okay? I like everything. Except for the perception part that if you're not there, you're not good enough. You didn't have a great year if you didn't get there. And the bottom line is there's only 4 that make it. And it's a huge hurdle to get into that 4. But if you make a New Year's Six bowl game, you've had a great season. Not a good season. You've had a great season. You've had to win a lot of big games to get there. In this particular year, Penn State in a 6-game stretch, had to play at Iowa, then come home and play Michigan, then go out and play Michigan State. That's 3 physical teams right in a row. I mean, physical teams. These are not finesse teams. Then they play at Minnesota, another physical team. Then they play 24th ranked Indiana, another ranked team, but probably more finesse. Then they play at Ohio State. This is their 6-game stretch. Who else is playing that kind of 6-game stretch? And it's interesting how the Ohio State people were telling you that for the first time all season, they felt like they were a bit beat up going into the Michigan game because the Penn State game was so physical. Well, Ohio State was physical for Penn State, and guess what? Penn State was physical for Ohio State. And they were telling everybody, what's about as beat up as we've been going into a game this year. That's because that's what happens when really good faces really good. And Ohio State in this particular year is bordering on great. Or, as I said earlier, it's when 2 great teams get together, and now Ohio State's bordering on exceptional. How about that? So let's just get some perspective as to what this run has done to take Penn State from December 2nd, 2015 to December 2nd, 2019, and how the expectations and the perceptions of Penn State football have changed. Now can they clear that last gigantic hurdle, which is the toughest one, that gets them into that exceptional category in a given year? All right, we'll come back with more in a moment on News Radio 1070 WKOK, brought to you by Purdy Insurance. When it comes to car buying, there's the other guy's way, and then there's the SMC way. The other guys force you into a vehicle you really don't want. The Sunbury Motors way lets you take the time you need to browse, ask questions, and take the test drive and think on it. For over 100 years, the Mertz family and all their employees have made your experience the most pleasant one you'll ever have. The other guys won't offer you the best price for your trade, no matter how much they say they will. The SMC way is their promise to provide you with the most money the market shows your vehicle is worth. The SMC way is to offer you all applicable factory rebates on new vehicles and generous discounts. Looking for a pre-owned vehicle? The SMC way checks each vehicle in a 200-mile radius to determine the lowest price, then beat it. It's the lowest price promise, just part of the SMC way. The choice is up to you, the other guy's way or the SMC way. The SMC way wins every time. Sunbury Motors Company in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury, and at sunburymotors.com. Selling more cars and satisfying more customers for over 100 years.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Can you help us with our insurance?
From in there?
Oh, the cage? I've been with this provider for years.
Let's find a trusted choice independent agent.
Trusted choice.
Many insurance agents are held captive by one provider, but a trusted choice independent agent has the freedom of choice. They can shop multiple providers on your behalf to find the coverage options and prices right for you.
Hi, this is Season from Purdy Insurance. Are you trapped by one company's rates? Call Purdy Insurance today at 570-286-5855.
Taking your calls at 800-795-9565. This is The Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now, from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
All right, great to have you with us on the show today. Brought to you by Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors, Key routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. And today's show brought to you by Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. The Purdys have served this valley for decades. They've found their customers the right insurance, whether it's auto, home, life, business, a bundle, whatever it may be. And they've done everything in their power to find you the best price. And if there's ever a claim, man, they go to work for you. They update policies all the time. They are great people who are just tremendous professionals. I mean, you just meet the Purdy people. These are great people, but they're also tremendous professionals. Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. We'll get to Matt Leon in a moment. Okay. Saturday, there was an incident.
I don't know if I'd define it as an incident. I don't think I'd make it that extreme.
The way it was described to me by the undisputed leader of the Tom McGrath Tailgate, Tom McGrath, there was registered disgust about me not being there after the game. Gary Goloszewski, who, by the way, did a tremendous job in this show last week representing himself in the tailgate. Couldn't have done any better. Registered disgust that I was not there and stated fully that I was not going to be there.
I would say that...
Which then, in a moment, I will not say weakness, but in a moment of suitness...
Yes.
You backed up, Gary.
Yeah, I know. You were there for me in my darkest hour a year and a half ago, and you think I would have learned my lesson by now.
And how long was it after this statement was made where the statement suddenly became a moot point, except to have it pointed out repeatedly for a long period of time by Tom McGrath and myself?
You showed up literally seconds after that.
So you're saying I showed?
You did. Man of your word.
Did I say beforehand I was showing?
Yes. Information according to Tom, yes, you were showing.
Did I tell Tom McGrath I was showing?
Absolutely, 100%.
Did I show?
Absolutely, 100%. We have we have the photographic evidence to prove it. Tom's lovely bride took a photo of the four of us. We have it on our Steve Jones Show Facebook page for posterity. I will say this about Gary. Before you showed up, it may have come off like a hint of frustration on Gary's part, but there was this concern with both of his arms up in the air. He goes, "Where's Steve Jones?" But the way he said it and the tone and inflection that he used, I would equate that to a young 7-year-old impatient boy on Christmas Eve waiting for Santa to show up.
I think you pretty much described Gary's life. All right, so...
Well, we flipped back. We thought, okay, Steve's not been home in 3+ days. You had a grind in Brooklyn doing the couple of basketball games, and for a while there, we weren't sure when you were going to be getting back home. Late Friday night, well, really, it turned out to be early Saturday morning. Whether it was going to be 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, or 5 o'clock, but you ended up home by 3. But we just said, he's had a long, 2, 3, 4 days, and we would not be surprised at all if you decided, and we would no way, shape, or form be upset by it, that you would go home after the football game and relax and, for the rest of the weekend, recharge, reload, and get ready for today.
Well, an adorable explanation. The doubters were laid to rest quickly when I showed.
Yes. The doubt and all that junk went away, which should not have been there in the first place.
Just feel that, fortunately, we were close enough to the Mount Nittany Medical Center, which was visible from the parking space.
Sure was, yes, off in the distance, right.
So in case I needed to have the knives surgically removed from my back, we could get it done.
Which was not needed.
But it was a moment of suitness on your part.
Yes, it was. That's absolute truth. That's a fool me twice. It's like the cowboy in the Impossible Whopper commercial, where he's enjoying the Whopper but doesn't realize that it's a original Whopper, but it's the new 0% beef Impossible Whopper, and he goes, "I'm a damn fool." I'm a fool.
I will continue out of pure, complete loyalty and a depth of friendship for Tom McGrath to continue to show up at the Tom McGrath Tailgate. I'll be careful now what I say to Gary. I can hear him now. Steve, come on. I can't do it.
I said to him, this could get ugly Monday at 3:35. He goes, "I'm there. I go, be at your landline, not your cell phone line."
Hey, that's right, his landline. I think that's the first time that landline's been used in 5 years.
That's what Amy said. I said, "Is it in his mahogany scented office?" She said, "No, it's down by the bar."
It is actually. I've seen it. Oh, boy.
But a fun time. Great cap to the season and awesome people. Great food, great times. Look forward to next year.
I'll be showing up then, too.
I hope to as well.
I mean, a couple weeks ago after the Indiana game, Gary asked if I could come over to the house for a little bit. I did. Took time out of my schedule to go over there, have good times, a lot of laughs. Then the first second that he thinks there's any crack in the foundation, he takes dynamite and puts it in the crack and attempts to blow it up. It's unbelievable. All right, so, and you're right there with the match. All right, so just the loyalty You wonder why my loyalty continues to be toward the one defender. The one defender was
Tommy Mack.
Tom McGrath, whose name is on the tailgate. The one defender. All right. The Eagles right now are looking for any defenders. How about that for a broadcast transition? And with that, we bring in Matt Leon. And Matt, I bet the lines in Philadelphia are lighting up today to talk about the Eagles' performance.
That was ugly yesterday. That was one of the most disheartening Eagles losses I've seen in quite some time.
Well, not only that, but it's the sequence. The Cowboys open the door and lose on Thanksgiving Day to the Bills, so now you have a chance to close some ground, and it's a golden opportunity they didn't take advantage of.
No, and I think it's what's just becoming abundantly clear. I mean, record aside, is this is just a team that's just not good enough, because it's interesting. Yeah, they've lost 3 in a row, but the last 2 weeks, the games against the Patriots and the Seahawks, everybody talked about how the defense played so well, and boy, if they could just get the offense on track, they'd be really good. And then yesterday, for the most part, the offense played well and the defense fell apart. And that's what mediocre to bad teams do, is they just keep believing you, oh, they could have just done this, or they could have just done that. But you know what? They never do, and that's why they are what they are.
Right now, I look at the Eagles this way. In a season where you have great hitting and no pitching, you finally get a great pitching performance, and suddenly the hitting goes dry. Yeah, I mean, that's how I look at Philadelphia. As soon as something goes right, there's some other part that you were counting on that goes wrong.
Right, and I think, there are so many questions out of yesterday. Number one, I will go to my grave not understanding. If I'm the defensive coaching staff and I'm looking at that Miami scout, I pretty much across the board, this is just a collection of guys, journeymen, young players who haven't developed yet, however you want to classify it, and Devontae Parker. He's the one guy who can make plays. So me, as a defensive coach, our goal, we're not going to let this guy beat us. If one of these other guys makes a ton of plays, tip our hat. But this guy can't beat us. And how you let the one guy that has the capability of making plays make play after play after play and never adjust to it, I just don't understand. And that was right at the top of the list of things that just made no sense for me yesterday.
Let's face it. When you're in the room going through the scouting report, it is don't let him loose. He may make some plays, but don't let him loose.
The rest of that team is, Ryan Fitzpatrick is a nice quarterback who obviously, as we've seen, can get hot and make all the throws when he gets it cooking. But, the rest of it's a collection of running backs. I mean, you would have been hard-pressed to see those in some XFL teams. I mean, there's nothing there that scares you offensively except Devontae Parker. And you let him go for whatever it was, 159 and 2 touchdowns, and you let him completely disrupt the game from the wide receiver position. It's just unconscionable, in my opinion.
So this is a team that right now lost its mojo in some ways?
Oh, absolutely.
Weird question, but still.
Yeah, no, I think you see a team that's searching for answers and doesn't quite know where to find them. Because even when one of the things I've said to people is even the games where they've won this year, everything is dental surgery. Everything is difficult, harder than it has to be.
Yeah.
Nothing is easy. Nothing is really fun and enjoyable. Some of that is kind of the way this team has ended up being constructed between age and injuries and stuff. But a lot of it is just because they don't execute consistently. And for every play they make, there's 2 other drops or penalties, or a guy not running the route deep enough, so he gets 7 yards on 3rd and 8, or somebody makes a play on defense, but somebody lined up offside. It's always something, and it's just not enjoyable to watch. I think that's kind of the bottom line. I mean, the record, but it is amazing to me that 22 months removed from a Super Bowl, with a team that's got a lot of that same core, they are just so unenjoyable to watch.
Yet, schedule-wise, they're a game back of Dallas. They've got the Giants next Monday night, a week from tonight. Let's face it, they're the prohibitive favorite in that one. The Giants are no better. Now, Daniel Jones is not getting better to this point.
But I look at this point, I don't know what makes you think that this Eagles team will come to play at all. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to lose out, but what has this Eagles team done? Where on the body of work have they done to lead you to think that they can win the last four? I'm not saying it to you specific. I'm saying it in general.
Oh, sure. That's fine.
There's nothing in this year, and I know the Super Bowl, but that's last year. That's 2 years ago.
Sure.
Nothing that we've seen from this team this year points to them being able to figure it out, even against inferior opponents, and do what they have to do.
Then there's the other part. I mean, you look at, they've got the Giants. Now, the Redskins have played better lately. I mean, they've got a couple wins. Then they have the big one with Dallas. And then they've got the Giants again. I mean, under normal conditions, they should be in a spot where the Dallas game is the one that opens the door to winning the division if form were to hold, but that's a big if.
Yeah, and I just we've seen a team that can't put anything together, can't build on anything. They are the I've never seen a team undermine its own momentum like the 2019 Eagles do. They make a play on offense, they give it right back on defense. Defense makes a stop, the offense fumbles it away. Offense and defense go back to back, somebody fumbles a punt return. It's just unbelievable. And like I said, there's nothing that leads you to believe that all of a sudden the switch is going to go on and they're going to be okay. Because you got to remember, they were about as healthy yesterday as they've been all year. They still have Deshaun Jackson, and,
sure,
we can argue if a 33-year-old wide receiver's absence should have the devastating effect it's had on this offense, and they haven't had Jordan Howard for a while. But, the offensive line was intact. Defense has just about everybody in there, and they allowed that Dolphins team to go up and down the field after the first 2 or 3 possessions.
I will say this, though. A receiver of Jackson who has been around the block and is a good player would actually be a difference maker, because I look at the Patriots, and the Patriots don't have that guy either. And you can see how much it is affecting even Tom Brady.
Oh, yeah, but at a certain point you got to start making plays.
Oh, I understand that.
Yeah, I mean, and that doesn't, I just can't get over how bad the defense was yesterday. It really almost boggles the mind how bad they were defensively. And I don't know if it's a preparation. I don't know. They were very good the first 2 or 3 series, and I don't know if they thought that it was going to be an easy day. And you know as well as I do, even if it's subconscious, when teams kind of start taking their foot off the pedal, it's very difficult to put it back on.
Sure is.
And I could see that, because they really did. They had the interception on the first play, and then they dominated the next couple series. And you just wonder if they just didn't start to think it was going to be a walk in the park, and guys started worrying about how they're going to rack up some numbers. And next thing you know, they've got guys making catches over top of them and running through them and trick plays, and everybody's flat-footed, and the rest is history.
And so is this segment.
Indeed.
My good friend, thanks so much. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving.
You too, sir. Thank you very much.
And that is Matt Leon from Philadelphia. Not exactly an encouraging segment for Eagles fans, yet they're only a game out of first. The Steelers right now would be in the playoffs, and not only that, they have found their quarterback of the future. We'll come back with more in a moment on News Radio 1070 WKOK, brought to you by Purdy Insurance. Danny on Penn State football the next half hour. Next week, Tony Knopp is going to rejoin us. Our second State of the Union high school football roundtable will take place, and then our bowl picks, because believe it or not, bowl games begin on Friday, December 20th at 2 o'clock. So we'll take next Friday the 13th to do our bowl picks. So we have a lot going on. On Friday the 13th, our bowl again, because again, doing it a week later, there'd actually be bowl games underway as we hit the holiday season. Once again, I think as most of you know, the suit is the defending champion.
3-time defending champion.
And
five-time. Sorry, 5-time defending.
It should be pointed out that when you look at the workloads of Kevin, my brother, business owner.
That's right.
Shawn, who throws heavy innings all the time. And I think people know that my schedule means I'm in a different state on a different day, as opposed to the one person who can actually sit in their office and analyze all the data because they really don't have much else to do.
Who now this year has an even bigger war room than ever before.
I guess when you go back there, he's got stats up all over the place.
Not Christmas decorations, no.
No, that would be festive. This is competitive. I mean, I feel like I'm going into this thing against Joey
Your
Chestnut.
station for news, weather, business, and CBS Sports Radio. Newsradio 1070 WKOK Sunbury and on WKOK.com.